Hi, it's Paula from Pola Quilting. Welcome back to my channel. Hi everyone, another easy design today, straight from my magic numbers trays. This one is with flowers, but I might pull out some other types of fabrics as well. If you're new to my channel or want to know more about how I use magic numbers to work with my scraps, please check this video. And also I have recently wrote an article and it's posted on my blog, so there's quite a lot of detail there, so I would recommend checking both of those places and learning more if you want to use up your scraps. I am currently working on another article about how I use magic numbers and how it can help you with random sizes blocks. For example, when you want to make a memory quilt and you are kind of limited by what you have to work with. So that's another article coming out soon. Now for this new design I will also use those ones. I don't know if you remember, if you haven't seen this video, this tutorial, I've been using the snowball scraps, you know, when you're cutting off the snowballs to make adding tape kind of designs here. So I will use those in my today's designs as well. Now if you don't have this type of adding tape ready, you can use any adding tape work you have done, or if you don't have any type of the adding tape done at all, use some bold fabrics. Use some bold fabrics from your stash. You don't need a lot of fabric because I will be cutting those strips into 2.5 inches. So if you've got something nice but not a lot and you want to use it up in a quilt, then this block may be something for you. So I will, like I said, trim those strips to 2.5 inches. As you can see, I have used a narrower tape here. It's actually less than 2.5 inches, but when I was sewing it together I made sure I'm sticking out outside, so I can now trim it properly. I did some on the wider tape as well, so just have a look at that tutorial. So for this design I will also need 4.5 inch squares from my bucket, one kind of contrasting, so one brighter, one darker. As you can see, no rhyme, no reason, I'm just mixing and matching anything I've got in my bucket, just dark and bright. So that's two of those squares. I will need one 6.5 inch square. Color wise, just go with whatever will contrast nicely with those strips you will be using, so depending what you've got. And if you're using fabric itself, then obviously you want to contrast with that. So I will just take this one, and I will also need four pieces of 2.5 by 6.5 strips. And again, you want to have it contrasted to whatever you go with in the middle. So you kind of have to decide. I'm going with kind of brighter-ish fabric here, then I'm choosing darker pieces to go around it. So that's all what I need for today's design, and let's get started. So first I will trim my strip to size. It needs to be 9.5 inches long. So this side is already trimmed nice and kind of I've done that part already before. So I just cut 9.5 inches long piece. And now I need to trim it to 2.5 inches. Now you obviously may not have a 2.5 inch ruler, but with any size of the ruler, I will first kind of center where I have the 2.5 inches, and then I just make sure that I've got enough on both sides. So obviously if you have a bigger ruler, let's say this is a big square, you would kind of do the same thing. You just put your ruler, see where your 2.5 inches are, and kind of maneuver it until you're happy, and then you will check that you've got fabric sticking out on both sides. So it will work with any type of ruler you've got. I will just put it here. I'm aligning my top edge here with the ruler just to make sure it's obviously straight as well. And just kind of, I want to have more or less those triangles in the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just more or less in the middle. I'm not kind of measuring anything here. I'm just eyeballing it, but I want to straighten up those sides. Okay, my strip is ready. Next cut I will do is this one. I will just cut it diagonal, on diagonal here, just once. Nothing complicated here. And now I'm ready to go to the machine and start sewing. Okay, so the first thing I want to sew is take my 2 triangles and sew it on the both sides of the strip. Now don't worry about like matching exactly where you will start and finish on. As far as it's sewn and it doesn't stick out too much, you'll be fine, because there's gonna be a little bit of excess. We will be squaring it up back to 6.5 inches, so you've got plenty of space to play around. So as easy as it is, I'll just match those two and sew with the 1/4 inch. Now chain piecing here. Before I take this one out to the other side, I will take my 2 squares. What I want to do is put them on top of each other, wrong sides, and I will sew all around it. Okay, now I've got this piece back so I can sew the other side. And like I said, don't worry if it kind of starts from different place than this ended, because there's a plenty of space here to square up. Okay, so this first piece with our strip in, that just needs to be taken to the iron board and iron it nicely out to make it flat. You may like to use a little bit of starch here if you wish to. I do have a separate video how I'm preparing my tapes, so I will link it in the description below. As you can see, I kept the paper on. I only remove the paper when it's already stitched somewhere, because that keeps those seams nice kind of tight together. If you remove that kind of paper too early, it might be a little bit of wonky there later. So that's one thing. That's just ironing nice and flat. This one I will also iron, but before I do that, I will just cut diagonally on both kind of directions, and that's basically making half square triangles 4 at a time. Very easy process. Again, those squares will come with a little bit of excess to square them up to 2.5 inches, so even if you are not like exactly 1/4 inch here from the edges when you were sewing it around, never mind, you've got plenty of space here to square it up. So I will take it all to the iron now, open it all up nice and flat, and we square up all of those blocks. Okay, so I'm ready to square up my block. So this one, like I said, is going back to 6.5 inches. I've got 6.5 inch ruler, but obviously you can use any ruler which is that size or above. I'm eyeballing it, so I'm not measuring exactly. I just want to be more or less in the middle of the strip. If this bothers you, or you've got bigger ruler, you kind of cannot eyeball it very well. Just fold your block into half, so you create that crease there, which gives you the middle point. Again, doesn't have to be very specific. Those strips will not kind of touch each other later. So once you do that, you put your ruler, you know where the middle is now, and it's just simple as squaring it up from both sides. There's like as you can see, there's quite a lot of excess here, so however you've stitched it together, it's still going to be looking nice when we finish with it, so no problem there. Okay, so that's one block ready, and now I want to square up all of those to 2.5 inches. And again, because we started from 4.5 inch, you've got enough of room to square it up. You don't have to stress here either. I'm just having the ruler with diagonal line. So first of all, just put your diagonal line to match your middle of the block. Square up one side. I'm not measuring anything yet. And then turn it around, and now you want to find your 2.5 inch measurements. Align them to that side where you cut off the edges so it's nice and straight. Align your diagonal line. It should all look nice and straight. And trim it off. And if it's not exactly nice and straight, don't worry either. Small things will disappear in the quilt too. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat that with all the other 3 squares. And we'll be ready to put that block together. got my pieces now ready, and it's time to lay it all out, and it's gonna be as easy as sewing a 9 patch. So I've got my centerpiece here. I'm just gonna set it up so my triangles go one direction towards me. Obviously you may have a different fabric kind of to figure out how you want to set it off. Just what you want to do if your fabric here is directional, just do it in the same directions for all of the blocks. So just decide which way you're going and stick to it. Now my half square triangle, so this going to be dark towards the center block, and this one dark towards the center block as well, but the side ones are going in the direction of my triangles in the middle. So those triangles are going this way, my dark triangle goes the same way. Again, if you are not working with triangles here in the middle, then obviously just figure out one way you want to go with it, and kind of do all of the blocks the same way. Just for the design of the final block, that's important. Now I'm just gonna quickly add around my pieces here, 6.5 by 2.5, and stitch it all together the same way as I would have done with every 9 patch. So let's start from that side. Here we come to the place where there is the only time where you need to kind of worry about your seams-ish. You want to nest those seams when you're sewing on the other side. So whichever they want to go, it's fine. Just make sure you nest them. The block will look flatter, and also it's easier to match the corners. But don't overthink it either. If they are not aligned exactly, that will all disappear when you kind of quilt and wash your quilt. Now in this second pass, obviously I want to make sure I kind of nest them the same direction, so that's why I'm keeping the bit which I have sewn on top, so I can see which way I've done here, and I will just go the same way. And that's all. So for the design I'm thinking about, I need 3 more of those. So the block I am having in my head needs 4 of those pieces. But I will pop it on the design board, and we'll also see what else could we do with kind of individual blocks like this. Before I show you my finished project, just a quick reminder where you can find me and how you can support my work. You can subscribe to my website to be notified when new tutorials, products or patterns are released. You can find me on my Facebook page, Pola Photo, or you can join my group page, Pola Quilting with Friends, where we all share work made inspired by my tutorials and answer any questions you may have. There is Instagram account called Pola Quilting, and if you like to share something you made based on my tutorials, please tag me using hashtag Pola Quilting with Friends. To support my work, please like, comment and share when you see my posts or tutorials. Let your quilting friends know about this channel and invite them to the group, and subscribe to my channel. If you like to contribute extra, you can use super thanks on YouTube, or buying me virtual tea, coffee or lunch available on my page. All links are in the description below. I would like to thank you all for all the support so far and letting me grow in what I do. So let's have our show and tell now. 4 units put together here, with adding arrows pointing in and out in each pair. Here I set up individual units in rows with arrows going in the same direction or direction changes per row, and another combination in rows where they alternate direction as well. And here is the look I was going for, arrows all going inside the center, hence the name of the block, Arrowed In. Block made from 4 units, finished at 19.5 inches, so perfect size for a quilt, but also cushion cover or front of the patchwork back. And 3 combinations to show how they will look when put together. You can also add some sashing in between those 4 unit blocks, and that will also add a different layout depending on your scraps obviously and what you've got available, but it's not necessary, as you can see on this last picture. When you just put those blocks together, it makes lovely mash of scraps, but it's all obviously preference, you do how you like it. I hope you enjoyed this scrap buster using my magic numbers pre-cuts. Please check my other tutorials, and don't forget about description and the links which I've mentioned there. Also, please comment and let me know which layout you like the best. Happy sewing everyone! Thank you for joining, thank you for watching, and see you next time.